Welcome to the Deep Dive.
Hey there.
Today we're really taking a plunge into a fascinating story. It's this unique intersection of, well, traditional martial arts, deep healing practices, and one person's incredible journey.
Yeah, we're looking at an interview with Damon Bramich. He's a Yang-style lineage assessor, decades of experience.
And his story, it just weaves together these threads you wouldn't necessarily expect, like serious fighting experience and then this profound healing side.
Absolutely. So our mission really is to kind of pull out the key insights from his background.
Right. Unpack how these connections formed, what principles guided him. What can you learn from someone who's walked such seemingly different paths?
Should be interesting. Let's jump in.
Okay, so getting into Damon's story, you realize pretty quickly this wasn't just something he fell into,
Yeah.
especially the healing side. It goes deep.
Oh, incredibly deep. It's not just him. It's his family history. We're talking centuries back.
Centuries, really.
Yeah. His mom got into traditional Chinese medicine, TCM, back in the 70s after a spinal injury, which is significant.
Sure.
But her family line goes back to the 16th century. Her grandfather, an orthopedic physician, her grandmother, an herbalist. They practiced herbalism for generations, apparently, while traveling.
Wow. Okay, so it's practically in the blood then.
Pretty much. And his mother's own path in the late 70s, 80s, moving through meditation, astrology, then acupuncture, herbs.
That reflects that whole alternative health wave happening then.
Exactly. But at the same time, Damon, as a really young kid, is diving into martial arts.
Right, judo at 6 or 7.
Yeah, and then Tai Chi, surprisingly early, around 11 or 12.
Yeah.
He mentioned being in this class, and it was mostly senior citizens.
Huh. That must have been something for a kid.
Definitely a bit different.
But he didn't just stick with Tai Chi then. Sounds like he tried, well, almost everything.
Oh, yeah. Kung Fu, karate. He got black belts in 3 different karate styles.
3.
Kickboxing, early Muay Thai, back when it was just starting up in Australia.
Yeah.
Wing Chun. Even trained boxing with the Waters family, who were pretty famous.
That's a serious amount of training. Where was this mostly?
Growing up around Sydney, Newcastle. Sydney, he said, was a real hot spot for martial arts. Lots of Chinese immigration.
Ah, okay.
Wing Chun, Chanyanga Khalifat. He actually trained for 3 years at a Khalifat school. So it wasn't just dabbling. It was deep dives, even within that variety.
So with all that training, what was the motivation? What was pushing him?
He's really direct about it. He just says he wanted to fight.
Huh, just like that.
Yeah. He links it partly to, family dynamics. Youngest boy, big family, felt like an easy target at first.
So learn to fight back.
Learn to fight back. But also the culture, he says. Growing up near the beaches in Australia.
Yeah.
Rivalries between schools, footy teams. Having a scrap, as he put it, wasn't that unusual.
Right.
And that kind of continued into his late teens. Pubs, clubs. He saw it almost like a rite of passage.
Okay, I can see that context. And does this fighting spirit connect to sports too?
Oh, absolutely. He played rugby league and union, representative level stuff, super competitive.
So, not afraid of contact.
Not at all. He mentioned being pretty skinny back then, maybe 120 pounds, but tall, 6 feet, and fast. Like Breakaway. All about speed and drive.
There's that story too, about going back to football later in life.
Oh yeah, that's a classic. He goes back, finds out he's still suspended from when he was 15.
For what?
Apparently viciously attacking an opponent's head. Pretty serious.
Oof.
Okay. And because he couldn't play due to this old suspension, he ended up becoming the team's massage therapist instead.
No way. So the aggression kind of directly leads him towards healing.
Exactly. It's almost perfectly ironic, isn't it? A real pivot point.
Totally. So, okay, he's got this intense fighting background, rugby, multiple black belts. How does he then connect with let's say, the deeper side of Tai Chi, beyond that first class with the seniors?
Well, there was an earlier exposure through his mom, again, back in the 80s. These Nap Cheers people.
Nap Cheers?
Yeah, Nantuck and Nathug. He trained some Tai Chi with them, but also internal stuff like Nagong.
Okay, what's that?
It's like internal energy work. Exercises focusing on breath, circulation, gentle movements to build internal energy, and also bone marrow washing.
Bone marrow washing. Sounds intense.
It's another internal discipline meant to strengthen bones, purify energy. Pretty esoteric stuff.
So he saw some of this deeper practice early on.
He did, but he also said he was a bit skeptical back then. Seeing demonstrations like breaking arrows on the throat, compared to his actual fighting experience, it maybe didn't seem as substantial.
Right, I get that. Practical combat versus maybe more theatrical displays.
Exactly. So his more serious Yang-style training started a bit later, maybe 87, 88. But the real game changer was meeting his Sifu.
Ah, yes, this was around 1991.
Yeah, right after a kickboxing injury basically ended any hopes he had of turning pro. He meets this Sifu who's a Yang-style lineage holder.
And a nephew of Yang Chengfu, the famous master.
That's the one. And the story of how they first interacted is just, well, it's something else.
Tell me.
So Damon, with all his fighting background, right? Sifu basically tells him, go on, have a crack. Lets him try to hit him multiple times.
Yeah.
And Damon says he just got dusted big time. Every single time. Couldn't touch him.
Wow. After all that training.
All that training. Karate, kickboxing, boxing. And this older guy is just apparently laughing while nullifying everything. Damon said it felt like running into a car. Or an elephant.
That must have been completely baffling.
Totally. Utterly confusing for him. But then he also knew who this guy was, partly because his mom had books lying around about Yang Chengfu Chenmenking.
Ah, so he had context. He knew this wasn't just some random skilled guy.
Exactly. He knew this Sifu represented something significant, a level of skill and, well, depth he hadn't physically encountered before. It totally reframed his idea of power.
Okay, so that encounter, plus the injury, sounds like a major turning point. This is where the fighting and healing start to really blend.
Precisely. That pivot was happening right as he started his massage training in 91. He got qualified pretty quickly, by the end of 1990, actually.
So they were happening in parallel.
Right. And he started seeing healing and recovery as going hand in hand with martial arts. It wasn't just about fighting anymore. His mom's influence, those earlier experiences with the Nap Cheers group, it started to click differently.
And he really committed to understanding the body too, didn't he? Even the wet labs.
Yeah, studying cadavers. He wanted that direct, visceral understanding of anatomy, not just diagrams in a book.
That's dedication.
And that led him into the nervous system, thinking about the vagus nerve, how crucial it is for relaxation, healing.
And connecting that back to Tai Chi.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He saw how Tai Chi's focus on posture, breath, slow movement could directly influence the nervous system, promote that calm, integrated state.
He also mentions somatic psychotherapy.
Yeah, exploring that mind-body connection from another angle. He really saw therapy and Tai Chi as these parallel paths, sometimes intersecting, always informing each other.
So how does this integrated view change how he sees martial arts practice, like push hands?
Well, he describes push hands as like reading a book about someone, you get their structure, their tension, their intention.
Okay.
But he adds a big caution. Don't try reading that book against a genuinely skilled opponent. It's dangerous.
Right, because they won't just let you read, they'll use it against you.
Instantly.
Yeah.
Sensing structure is one thing. Exploiting it against someone who really knows structure is another game entirely. He feels that being both a healer and a martial artist makes you more complete.
More complete? How so?
Maybe it evolves you beyond just the need to fight in that raw, combative sense. You understand conflict and structure differently.
And he brought this healing perspective into his teaching, too.
Yeah, starting around 94, when he began teaching Tai Chi, he'd integrate concepts from physical therapy, like emphasizing relaxation.
But not just collapsing.
No, absolutely not. He's very clear.
Right there.
It's firmness in relaxation and relaxation in firmness, that yin-yang balance. You need structure, rooting, connection, while being soft and adaptable, not just going limp.
That's a key distinction. Which brings us to some of the nuances of Tai Chi itself. He had some strong views, particularly on internal versus external arts.
Oh yeah, he basically calls that distinction bollocks from a biomechanical view.
Bollocks. Okay, why?
His point is, the body's connected, it all moves together. You can't truly separate internal power from external technique in a functional sense. The goal is wholeness.
Moving as one unit.
Exactly, in harmony as one, which, he argues, actually aligns with classic Tai Chi principles, saying internal and external need to be together. The separation idea is kind of artificial.
And he links this to mindfulness.
Directly. Being able to move your whole body in that coordinated, integrated way is a form of deep physical mindfulness. If parts are disconnected, you're not fully mindful at that physical level yet.
That's an interesting way to put it. So he starts teaching in 94. Did he find it easy to convey this depth?
Well, he contrasted modern workshops, one teacher, 50 students, with traditional lineage training. In the old way, you'd learn maybe from senior Kung Fu brothers, much more hands-on detailed correction. Push hands might only come after like 7 years of just form and basics.
7 years!
Yeah.
That's a different world from a weekend workshop.
Totally different. It highlights that challenge of transmitting deep skill versus just disseminating information widely.
And he was specific about traditional Yang style requirements.
Very. Emphasize the qua, the whole pelvic girdle area, as the absolute engine, turning from the waist, and the bow stance.
What about the bow stance?
Needs to be perfect, transition seamless, and he talked about the traditional depth, where the front thigh is basically parallel to the ground.
Oof, that sounds demanding. People worry about knees with that.
He pushes back on that. Says if it's taught correctly with proper alignment and structure, learning to turn on that solid, deep leg is crucial for stability and power. How you do it that matters.
Not just the depth itself. He contrasts that traditional depth with modified versions.
Yeah, mentioning that the last version Yang Chengfu taught publicly was already a bit different, maybe simplified, compared to what he taught family.
Ah, lineage complexities.
Exactly. And he touched on other historical wrinkles too, like Yang Chengfu being sent off to Shanghai, or how figures like Yang Xiaohao and Yang Zhaofen sometimes get left out of official lineages.
Even though his Sifu trained with them.
Right. So Damon includes them in his lineage chart. It shows how history isn't always neat and tidy. There's politics and evolution involved.
And then there was that really intriguing point about Yang Luchan, the founder.
Oh yeah, this came from Fusen Yuan later in life. The idea that Yang Luchan might have learned some key secrets not just from the Chen family, but from someone else in Chen village, a non-Chen person named Qian Fa.
So not the standard story at all.
No. And Damon suggests this might help explain why, despite the shared roots, modern Chen and Yang styles look and feel quite different biomechanically. Muscle memory plays a huge role over generations, of course, but maybe there's an initial divergence point we don't usually hear about.
Fascinating. He also mentioned the Chen masters.
Right, like Chen Zhaowang, Chen Fake, reportedly saying their style wasn't originally called Tai Chi at all. They called it Pao Choi, cannon fist.
Cannon fist. Definitely sounds more martial.
It does. Contrasts sharply with how, as Gaiman puts it, anything's Tai Chi now. The term has broadened so much.
Yeah, you see that. And finally, what about modern concepts like all the focus on fascia?
He acknowledges his own background touches on related ideas,
Yeah.
like myofascial work in therapy. But he sees the current, almost obsessive focus on fascia within some martial arts circles as potentially a distraction.
A distraction from what?
From developing the fundamental martial mind, improving your core kung fu through principles, structure, integration. He thinks fixating on just one tissue type, like fascia, might miss the forest for the trees, you know? It doesn't automatically make your martial skill better in that traditional integrated sense.
Okay, that makes sense. Focus on the whole, not just one trendy part.
That seemed to be his perspective.
Wow, what a journey. Damon Bramich's story. It really covers so much ground.
Yeah.
From that kid who just wanted to fight, exploring seemingly every art under the sun.
Yeah, through injury, finding this unexpected path into healing, really deep healing work.
And then discovering that profound depth in traditional Tai Chi lineage training. It's amazing how he brought those worlds together.
It really is. Seeing how injury pushed him, but also how his search for, I guess, a deeper understanding allowed him to connect fighting and healing.
We saw the contrast, too, between that rigorous, slow, traditional training and maybe more modern, faster approaches.
And those fascinating historical bits, the lineage complexities, the evolution.
Yeah.
It shows Tai Chi isn't some static, monolithic thing.
His whole experience just highlights how knowledge from different fields, martial arts, medicine, therapy, can seriously deepen your understanding of, well, the body, movement, even yourself.
Definitely. It makes you think.
It really does. And maybe that leaves you, the listener, with something to consider. How might different areas of knowledge or practice in your own life, maybe ones that seem totally separate right now, how might they actually inform and deepen each other?
Good question.
And as you learn and grow, how do you balance those foundational, maybe traditional principles with the new ideas, the buzzwords that inevitably come along? Where do you put your focus?
Yeah, it's something to mull over.